homes on the market now, what are some key things that homeowners could do to get the competitive edge against their neighbor? And as the whole boot camp was about buying and selling and giving information from realtors.
Sure. Well, in recent history, really, actually, curb appeal, shockingly enough, has actually started to lead the charts with what you're getting your biggest return on investment on. So even above your kitchens and master baths, which is a huge, huge thing. A lot of people start on the inside, and then they run out of money and leave the front of their house looking very drab. It's the first thing people see when they walk onto the property. It can either create a great first impression or leave a bad taste in your mouth right when you enter. So it is important and it needs to be addressed. Once you get inside the house, I have a little bit of a different opinion when it comes to doing work on your home. I think everything should be done with the thought process of, is this going to be marketable in the future? But in the grand scheme of things, we live in our homes, right? So I always say the owner of the home, the first thing you should remodel is the space you live in, all right? So whether that's your master bedroom or your kitchen or wherever you spend the most amount of your time, that's where you should start. The reason being is you'll be a much happier camper living in a finished space and working on other parts of the home instead of spending all your time finishing those other peripheral areas. And then, right before you sell it, you end up saying, oh, well, we can't sell it with this master bedroom looking like this. You do it, you love it, and then you're out, right? It's a horrible, horrible situation. So I always say start with the place where you live. And really what that does is it just changes your whole attitude of the whole renovation process starting there.
Okay, great. And then for people that aren't looking to put their home on the market, somebody that decided this is the last house I'm going to be in and I want to make it for me, what are some things that they can do to increase the value of their home? I know that you talked about the spaces that you live in, but how do you feel about the kitchens, the baths? What are the things that they can do? They're going to spend a little bit of money, but they want to get the value back out of it.
Yeah, well, what you have to do is you have to start with your plan, your overall plan. I never recommend going and just spot designing a room. Say like, I kind of like the rest of the house, but I'll worry about that later. It really behooves you to start with a master plan of your whole entire home, given that the floor plan is ultimately what you want to keep, all right? So you want to make sure any walls or any layout changes are what happens first. From there, the foundational element, ironically enough, is the floor, all right? That's where you need to start. Everything else gets built up from there. It's your foundational piece with making sure all the elements and color scheme are going to tie in together. Paint is easy, it's replaceable, it's very, very quick and can change year to year if you so desire. Flooring, on the other hand, is a little bit more of an investment, but it's where every time you should start. Once you have that, you need to make sure you decide on what I call your investment pieces or your larger expensive pieces of furniture and your color palette simultaneously. Once your flooring, your color palette, and your investment pieces all fall together, that is a great place to start in any room. But you have to have your overall plan. I like to take a step back and make sure you have your scheme completely figured out before ever going and buying the first bit of material. It'll save you a lot of time in the long run, even though it's very, you're impatient sometimes. I even have to catch myself in my own home sometimes because I get all excited and I've got some spare materials laying around and I just want to go do it. But I have to say, no, how does this fit in the overall scheme to make sure that I'm not wasting time and money, because it's very valuable, right?
Exactly. We always say to start with the floors, but not for the obvious reasons. Paint can be tinted, furniture can be custom, but I can't change the colors that Mohawk comes out with.
Right.
The whole point of today's boot camp was for first-time home buyers, and there are so many homes on the market, so many foreclosures, short sales, so many houses that are done to the nines in the higher price ranges. For home buyers, what should they be looking for? Especially if they're first-timers and they're going in, this can be a really overwhelming process for them.
Sure. Well, there's, obviously an overwhelming amount of real estate that has potential to be looked at, right now. I think whenever you're buying a home, your strategy needs to start the same as you would with a makeover. You have to start with a plan, and you have to educate yourself on what to expect before you get there. It's the same thing like jumping into a project, hiring a contractor. Many people are disappointed because they just think that the contractor's just going to take care of it for them. And if you leave a lot of guys to their own devices, you're going to be disappointed because you're not educated on it. So you need a great team, all right? You need a great real estate agent that you trust. You also need a great home inspector that may or may not necessarily be associated with your realtor. A lot of times that's where we get our recommendations for home inspectors, I always recommend just take away the whole even potential conflict of interest. Go get you an a la carte home inspector that might be recommended from somebody else that's not necessarily even your realtor, you know, unless you're really, really confident that your realtor, you know, is shooting you in the right direction. That way, you have them come in, really do a thorough inspection. I always recommend that you're on site for that inspection. Don't just let the inspector go off and hand you a report. Let him do his thing, stay out of his hair, but at the end, you know, we're not dumb people either. You know, you need to go through and you need to make sure you ask specific questions about anything extra that might potentially be burdening you. Or say you have a dad or a brother-in-law or a sister or mom that you trust their opinion. Have them come with you and also ask very pointed questions. That is not out of the realm of obligation for a home inspector to do. Also, I definitely recommend getting an energy audit done at that same exact time before you do any type of renovation, which you probably would do with purchasing an older home. Make sure that that thing is sealed up, because you can really get the ball way ahead of yourself if you don't seal that home up and make sure that it's nice and weather tight and has a strong HVAC system. It's just one of those foundational elements a lot of people like blow right past. But your home inspector is key. Your energy auditor is key, and your realtor is key in making sure that you come to the table with a very, very sound decision. Also, whether you're buying a new home or doing a renovation, you also need to have a budget set first. Even if you're hiring a contractor, I always start with a budget. Never go into any project with a liquid budget. It's just not smart, you know, because you're going to end up spending more than you want to for the end result of what you're getting. And it's not a matter of spending the most you possibly can, but what it is a matter of is spending what you've previously decided and sticking to your guns. So that's my mentality when it comes to purchasing a home, new or used.